Hello everyone, John Coleman here again, following on from my series of answering your questions. Well, the one question that has to be asked the most frequently is the following: how do I get an exception from the bank? Okay, well, let me start by explaining briefly what the exceptions are, and then we'll discuss which people that banks will actually give them to. Well, the exceptions are, well, the central bank has created rules whereby the maximum a bank can lend an individual in theory is 3.5 times their salary. Okay, so that's the rule of thumb. Now, there are different variants around that in terms of what they treat as salary, but as a rule of thumb, 3.5 times your salary. So in this current market, that may not be enough for you are able to get yourself the property that you're looking for. So the question I often get asked on a daily basis: can I get more money? Can I get an exception? So what are the exceptions? Well, in theory, the banks are allowed to lend a certain percentage of their total lending in a year, up to 15%, on what they call an exception basis. So there's actually two different types of exceptions. One exception is where the bank will give you an exception and will allow you go away and look for a property, and when you come back, they'll honour the exception. And that for me is the preferable route, whereby you're not being put under pressure to buy the first property you see. The other type of exception is where the bank will say to you, go and find a property, agree to buy it, and then talk to us about it, and we might give you an exception. Well, that puts a lot of pressure on to buy a particular house, just because, well, you won't be able to get the money otherwise. So I don't like that, but that is the mechanism that is being used by some of the banks. What can you get for an exception? Well, anywhere between 4 to 4.5 times your salary, rather than the 3.5 times that the central bank have designated as the rule of thumb. So people are always saying, I want 4.5 times. 4.5 times is the rarity rather than the common. Typically, getting an exception is somewhere in the region of about 4 to maybe 4.1 times your salary. So who do they give exceptions to? Well, this is the list. The following list is kind of they cherry pick. In truthful, they will look at people who are earning more money, who are younger and have longer time to actually pay the mortgage back, who have less children. Again, this might sound all discrimination, but this is the rules that they look at, who don't have any short-term borrowings. So again, they are looking. The people they will give exceptions to, basically younger, earning good money. What I mean by good money is salaries over 80,000 combined is what they would tend to look at as strong applicants. Younger people in their late 20s, early 30s, and with no loans and no children. They're the people that tend to be getting the exceptions on the easiest. Doesn't mean you won't get it with the not having these criteria, but it just becomes more difficult. Also, the time of the year that you go looking is going to have an impact. If you're looking towards the end of the year, then there may not be any available. While at the start of the year, the banks are more likely to have their budget available for exceptions, and their criteria may be looser or easier to get. So that's a real quick overview as to how to get the exceptions. If you need further clarification, feel free to reach out to me, and I will surely let you know where you stand and will it be possible to get an exception, because I don't like to overpromise. So that's John Coleman. Looking forward to hearing from you. All the best.